Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. OK, let's dive deep into the AEM dispatcher, covering everything from its role and configuration to caching strategies and code examples. This will be a comprehensive guide to help you understand and leverage the dispatcher effectively. What is the AEM dispatcher? The AEM dispatcher is Adobe Experience Manager's AEM caching and load balancing tool. It works in conjunction with one or more AEM publish instances to improve performance, security, and manageability of your AEM-powered website. Key functions of the dispatcher *. 1. Caching *. The primary function of the dispatcher is to cache content from the AEM publish instances. This reduces the load on the AEM servers and delivers content faster to end users. 2. Load balancing * distributes requests across multiple AEM publish instances, improving overall performance and resilience. 3. Security * provides a layer of security by filtering requests and blocking access to sensitive resources on the AEM publish instances. 4. URL rewriting * enables you to define rules to transform URLs, making them more user-friendly and SEO-friendly. 5. Content invalidation * handles the process of invalidating cached content when changes are made on the AEM publish instances. 6. Request filtering * defines which requests should be passed to the AEM publish instances and which should be served directly from the cache or blocked. Dispatcher architecture *. The dispatcher typically sits in front of the AEM publish instances in the following architecture. How caching works * 1. Request * a user's browser sends a request to the dispatcher. 2. Cache check * the dispatcher checks if the requested content is already in its cache. 3. Cache hit * if the content is found in the cache, a cache hit, the dispatcher serves the content directly to the browser, without involving the AEM publish instance. 4. Cache miss * if the content is not found in the cache, a cache miss, the dispatcher forwards the request to one of the AEM publish instances. 5. Content retrieval * the AEM publish instance generates the content dynamically. 6. Content delivery and caching * the AEM publish instance sends the content back to the dispatcher. The dispatcher then caches the content and serves it to the user's browser. Subsequent requests for the same content will then be served from the cache. 7. Invalidation * when content is updated on the AEM publish instance, a replication agent triggers an invalidation request to the dispatcher. The dispatcher removes the corresponding cached content, ensuring that users always receive the latest version. Configuration files *. The dispatcher's behavior is configured using several files, primarily *dispatcher.ini, main configuration file. This is the central configuration file. It defines all the essential settings for the dispatcher, including */cache, cache settings, location, rules, invalidation. */renders, definition of the AEM publish instances. */filter, request filtering rules. */virtual hosts, definition of virtual host names. */statistics, configuration for gathering statistics about the dispatcher's performance. */propagate syndication, defines rules if the dispatcher needs to propagate invalidation requests. *.vhost files, virtual host configuration used to define virtual host configurations, mapping specific domains or subdomains to specific AEM content paths. These are often used in multi-site AEM deployments. *other files * depending on your setup, you might have other files for URL rewriting, example.access for Apache, or custom modules. Detailed configuration breakdown of dispatcher.ini *. Let's break down the most important sections of the dispatcher.ini file. Explanation asterisk. */farms defines one or more farms. A farm is a grouping of dispatcher settings that apply to a specific set of AEM publish instances. You can have multiple farms to manage different AEM environments or websites. */myfarm * a specific farm configuration. You can name it anything. All the configuration options below this apply to this specific farm. */client headers * lists the HTTP request headers that the dispatcher should forward to the AEM publish instances. Including cookie here is crucial if your AEM application uses cookies. */renders * defines the AEM publish instances, renders, that the dispatcher will forward requests to. */host name, the host name or IP address of the AEM publish instance. */port, the port number on which the AEM publish instance is running, usually 4503 for the first instance. */timeout, the timeout, in seconds, for the dispatcher to wait for a response from the AEM publish instance. */retry, the number of times the dispatcher will retry a request if it fails. */receive timeout, the time, in seconds, the dispatcher will wait for data to come back from the AEM publish instance after the initial connection is made. */filter * this is a crucial section. It defines rules that determine which requests the dispatcher will allow to pass through to the AEM publish instances. It is very important to deny everything by default, /0000/type deny /URL, and then selectively allow specific paths and file types. This is a security best practice. */type, allow to permit a request, deny to block it. */URL, a URL pattern to match. You can use wildcards, */. */glob, a file name pattern. This is useful for allowing specific file types like CSS, JavaScript, images, etc. */cache * this is the heart of the dispatcher's caching configuration. */docroot, the file system path where the cached files will be stored. This should be a directory that the web server, Apache or IIS, has write access to. The recommended best practice is to use the env var. For example $dispatcher_document_root. */stat file level, determines how many directory levels to create when storing .stat files. .stat files are used to track the last modification time of cached resources, and the dispatcher uses these to determine when to invalidate the cache. A higher value allows for more granular invalidation. A good starting point is usually 2 or 3. A lower value will result in all the .stat files being created in the docroot and can result in a performance issue and large file size. */allow authorized, determines whether to cache resources for authenticated users. If set to 0, the dispatcher will not cache content for requests that include authorization headers or cookies, which usually indicate a logged-in user. Set to 1 to allow caching authorized content. Be very careful when enabling this, as you need to ensure that you are not caching sensitive data specific to a user. */allow selectors, determines whether to cache content with selectors in the URL. Selectors are parts of the URL that come after the base resource path, example /content/mypage.print.html. Set to 1 to allow caching of URLs with selectors, and 0 to disallow. This can be useful when selectors don't significantly alter the content. */rules, defines specific caching rules for different paths or file types. For example, you might want to specify that certain paths are never cached, or that certain file types are cached with a specific expiration time. */invalidate configures how the dispatcher handles cache invalidation requests from AEM. */0000 defines an invalidation rule. */glob specifies the URL pattern to invalidate. */type always set to invalidate. */invalidate regex allows you to invalidate cached content based on a regular expression applied to the URL. */handlererror optional allows you to define how to handle errors during the invalidation process. Common values are ignore errors, or return an error to the AEM publish instance. */allowed clients defines which IP addresses are allowed to send cache invalidation requests to the dispatcher. This is very important for security. You should only allow invalidation requests from your AEM publish instances. */virtual hosts * lists the virtual host names, domains, that this farm should handle. You can use wildcards, *. This allows you to serve multiple websites from the same dispatcher. You can also define these in separate .vhost files, which is often cleaner for complex multi-site setups. */propagate syndication * when set to true, this setting ensures that the dispatcher propagates syndication requests, example cache invalidation requests, to the AEM publish instances. This is typically enabled to ensure that cache invalidation works correctly. Example, caching rules. Here's an example of how you might define custom caching rules within the /cache/rules section. Explanation ***. */0000 allows caching of all files by default, /glob */ type allow. This is important because the filter section /filter will filter which requests are allowed. */0001 denies caching of any content under /content/mysite/protected/*. This is useful for pages that contain user-specific or sensitive information that should not be cached. */0002 denies caching of any page ending in .nocache.html. This could be used to explicitly prevent caching of specific pages that are known to be dynamic or personalized. */0003 allows caching of all .json files and sets a TTL, time to live, of 600 seconds, 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the cached JSON file will be considered stale and the dispatcher will fetch a fresh copy from the AEM publish instance. The cache is not refreshed until the TTL has passed. This is useful for content that updates relatively frequently but doesn't need to be immediately up to date. Note ** the dispatcher module needs to be configured to support the TTL feature. Invalidation ** When content is updated on the AEM publish instance, a replication agent configured to communicate with the dispatcher sends an invalidation request. This request includes the paths of the content that has been changed. The dispatcher then removes the corresponding files from the cache. Types of invalidation ***. Content invalidation * removes specific files or directories from the cache. Tree invalidation * invalidates an entire directory tree and all its subdirectories. Stat file update * the dispatcher creates .stat files in the cache directory structure to track the last modification time of cached resources. When an invalidation request is received, the dispatcher updates the .stat file of the affected directory. This causes the dispatcher to refetch any content that is older than the .stat file's modification time. This is the most common invalidation method. Example replication agent configuration, AEM. 1. Go to the AEM web console ** http:// your AEM author host port / system / console / config mgr. 2. Search for replication agent ** find the replication agent that's configured to replicate content to your AEM publish instances. It will likely be named something like publish agent. 3. Edit the agent ** click the edit icon, pencil, next to the agent. 4. Configuration ** transport tab ** query * the URL of your dispatcher, example http:// your dispatcher host port / dispatcher / invalidate.cache. User * leave blank. Dispatcher typically doesn't require authentication for invalidation requests, but you can configure it to if you need to. Password * leave blank. Triggers tab * ensure that the triggers for content modification, content activation, and content deletion are enabled. These triggers will cause the replication agent to send an invalidation request to the dispatcher whenever content is updated, activated, or deleted. Enable on receive if you want the author instance to request updates from the publish instances. Advanced tab *. Serialization type * set to default. Protocol version * set to 1.0. Retry delay * set this to a reasonable time. If the dispatcher is unavailable, AEM will keep trying. Agent enabled * ensure that the agent is enabled. 5. Save * click save to save the changes to the replication agent configuration. Important considerations for invalidation *. Security * ensure that only authorized servers, your AEM publish instances, can send invalidation requests to the dispatcher. Use the /allowed clients section in the dispatcher.ini file to restrict access. Granularity * fine-grained invalidation, invalidating only the necessary files, is more efficient than invalidating large sections of the cache. Configure your invalidation rules carefully to minimize the impact on performance. Performance * frequent invalidation can negatively impact performance. Consider using caching strategies that minimize the need for frequent invalidation. For example, using shorter TTLs for dynamic content can reduce the need to explicitly invalidate it when it changes. Cache busting techniques *. Sometimes, standard cache invalidation is not enough, especially when dealing with client-side caching, browser caching. You may need to use cache busting techniques to ensure that users always receive the latest versions of your assets, CSS, JavaScript, images. Common cache busting techniques. 1. Query parameters * append a unique query parameter to the URL of the asset whenever it changes. For example, the v parameter is a version number. Whenever you update the asset, you change the version number. This forces the browser to download the new version. AEM client libs does this automatically. 2. File name hashing * include a hash of the asset's content in the file name. For example, the E3B0C4 part is a hash of the CSS file's content. If the content changes, the hash will change, and the browser will download the new version. AEM client libs does this automatically. Load balancing *. The dispatcher can distribute requests across multiple AEM publish instances, providing load balancing. This improves overall performance and ensures that your website remains available even if one of the AEM publish instances fails. Load balancing methods *. Round robin * the dispatcher distributes requests to each AEM publish instance in a sequential order. This is the simplest method. Weighted round robin * allows you to assign weights to each AEM publish instance. Publish instances with higher weights will receive more requests. This can be useful if some publish instances have more processing power than others. Asterisk sticky sessions. Session affinity ensures that a user's requests are always routed to the same AEM publish instance for the duration of their session. This is necessary if your AEM application relies on session state. However, sticky sessions can reduce the effectiveness of load balancing. Configuration for load balancing asterisk. Load balancing is configured in the /renders section of the dispatcher.ini file. The dispatcher will automatically distribute requests across the available renders. You can use the /wait property to configure weighted round robin. Example asterisk. In this example, publish server 1 will receive twice as many requests as publish server 2. Sticky sessions asterisk. To enable sticky sessions, add the /session management section to your farm configuration. Security considerations asterisk. Asterisk filtering asterisk. The /filter section is your first line of defense. Carefully define the rules to allow only the necessary requests to reach the AEM publish instances. Asterisk allowed clients asterisk restrict access to the dispatcher, especially for invalidation requests. Asterisk secure communication asterisk use HTTPS for communication between the client, the dispatcher, and the AEM publish instances. Asterisk regular updates asterisk keep the dispatcher module and the underlying web server, Apache or IIS, up to date with the latest security patches. Troubleshooting asterisk. Asterisk dispatcher log files asterisk. The dispatcher's log files are invaluable for troubleshooting. They contain information about requests, caching activity, and errors. The location of the log files depends on your web server configuration. Asterisk cache directory asterisk. Inspect the cache directory to see if the content is being cached correctly. Check the permissions on the cache directory to ensure that the web server has right access. Asterisk dispatcher module configuration asterisk. Verify that the dispatcher module is correctly configured in your web server. Asterisk replication agent configuration asterisk. Check the replication agent configuration in AEM to ensure that it is correctly configured to send invalidation requests to the dispatcher. Asterisk browser developer tools asterisk. Use your browser's developer tools to inspect the HTTP requests and responses. Check the cache control headers to see if the content is being cached correctly by the browser. Code examples, dispatcher flush seo-friendly. While the replication agent configuration handles most invalidation scenarios, you might need a custom seo-friendly to flush the cache in specific cases. Example after a custom data import. Here's an example of a simple seo-friendly that triggers a cache flush. Explanation asterisk. 1 seo-friendly registration asterisk. The @ component annotation registers the seo-friendly with sling. 2 endpoint URL asterisk. The sling.seo-friendly.paths property defines the URL where the seo-friendly will be accessible. Example /bin/flush dispatcher. 3 do-get method asterisk handles the get request to the seo-friendly. 4 dispatcher URL asterisk defines the URL of the dispatcher's invalidation endpoint. Replace your dispatcher host port with the actual host name and port of your dispatcher. 5 path parameter asterisk. The seo-friendly accepts an optional path parameter, which specifies the content path to flush. If the path parameter is not provided, the seo-friendly flushes the entire /content tree by default. 6 HTTP connection asterisk. The seo-friendly creates an HTTP URL connection to send a post request to the dispatcher. 7 request properties asterisk. Asterisk CQ handle, specifies the content path to invalidate. Asterisk CQ action, specifies the action to perform, example update, delete, activate. 8. Response code asterisk. The surflay checks the HTTP response code from the dispatcher to determine if the flush request was successful. 9. Error handling asterisk. The surflay includes error handling to catch exceptions and log errors. To use the surflay asterisk. 1. Deploy asterisk. Deploy the compiled Java code as an OSGI bundle to your AEM publish instance. 2. Access the endpoint asterisk. Access the surflay's endpoint URL from a browser or using curl. Asterisk. Flush the entire /content tree, http your AEM publish host port /bin /flush dispatcher. Asterisk. Flush a specific path, http your AEM publish host port /bin /flush dispatcher, path equals /content /mysite /mypage. Important considerations for the flush surflay asterisk. Asterisk. Security asterisk. Protect the surflay. You should only allow administrators to access it. You can use AEM security features, permissions, roles, ACLs, to restrict access to the surflay. Consider implementing authentication for the surflay. Asterisk. Dispatcher configuration asterisk. Ensure that your dispatcher is configured to accept invalidation requests from the AEM publish instance where the surflay is deployed. Asterisk. Path handling asterisk. Be careful about the paths that you are flushing. Flushing large sections of the cache can impact performance. Additional tips and best practices asterisk. Asterisk. Monitor your dispatcher asterisk. Use tools like Apache's mod_status or IIS's monitoring features to track the dispatcher's performance, cache hit ratio, and error rates. Asterisk. Regularly review your configuration asterisk. The dispatcher configuration can become complex over time. Regularly review your configuration to ensure that it is still optimal and secure. Asterisk. Use environment variables asterisk. Use environment variables for sensitive information like database passwords or API keys. This makes it easier to manage your configuration across different environments. For example, $dispatcher_document_root. Asterisk. Version control asterisk. Store your dispatcher configuration files in a version control system, example Git. This makes it easier to track changes and roll back to previous versions if necessary. Asterisk. Automated deployment asterisk. Use automated deployment tools, example Jenkins, Maven, to deploy your dispatcher configuration and code changes to your environments. Asterisk. Leverage AEM as a cloud service, AACS, dispatcher asterisk. AACS simplifies dispatcher management significantly. Most configuration is handled automatically, and Adobe provides ongoing maintenance and security updates. When using AACS, you will have a managed dispatcher instance that can be tuned by Adobe, significantly reducing the operations burden. Asterisk. Use tools like AEM-HTL, Sitely, to leverage context-aware caching and prevent XSS vulnerabilities. In summary asterisk. The AEM dispatcher is a powerful tool for improving the performance, security, and manageability of your AEM-powered website. By understanding its configuration, caching strategies, and invalidation mechanisms, you can leverage the dispatcher to deliver a faster and more reliable user experience. Remember to prioritize security, monitor performance, and regularly review your configuration to ensure that your dispatcher is working optimally. This comprehensive guide should give you a solid foundation for working with the AEM dispatcher. Good luck.